And I don't know if you've come up with a nickname for them yet, but Miami picked to win the Coastal Division. And if that holds true, it'd be their second appearance in an ACC championship game. Clemson, Miami picked to meet in the ACC title game December 3rd in Charlotte, with Clemson coming out on top.
Well, I mean, that last time that happened, it was a 38-3 ass whipping. The Miami's only made the ACC finals one time. Miami's only made the ACC finals one time. Miami's only made the ACC finals one time with their great tradition from 25 years ago. So we'll see if I've actually nicknamed them. They're the Ruiz Hurricanes. They're not the Miami Hurricanes anymore. They're the Ruiz Hurricanes because basically he owns the team. And so we'll see if they can actually live up to the hype. And I don't really know. I'm going to root for them one time this year, and everybody knows when that will be. That will be week 3 when they play the Dirt Neck Aggies in College Station. I will definitely be rooting for the Ruiz Hurricanes that day. But after that, probably not. Basically, they are the poster children for doing it the wrong way, in my opinion, and that's buying an entire football team because they suck, S-U-C-K, and they're irrelevant. They don't even have a football stadium. They don't even have a football stadium. They don't even have a football stadium. So, I mean, if you want to be taken seriously and be one of the best programs in America, I think you need a football stadium. I think that would be one of the prerequisites. I think if Mr. Ruiz would help raise money to build a football stadium, I'd have more respect for him instead of just going out and getting on Twitter and bloviating and buying players left and right. I don't know what the clown's going to do when they regulate NIL because they're going to. But he'll still, I'm sure, have a heavy say in things and had a heavy say for Mario Cristobal coming home. And well, I wish Mario luck. He's always been a great recruiter. He's not the greatest head coach I've ever witnessed in my life. We'll see if he can manage games a little bit better than he did at Oregon. But, again, Miami does have some talent. I do think it shows how weak the ACC is, though, if Miami is picked to win their division. I think it's a weak sauce conference.
Yeah, Miami was picked to win the Coastal, followed by Pittsburgh, North Carolina, Virginia, Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech, and Duke. In the Atlantic, Clemson, NC State, Wake Forest, Louisville, Florida State, Boston College, and Syracuse.
Lord, Florida State.
Yeah.
I mean,
what does that say for Mike Norvell? I mean,
it says Dirt Neck left him a clown show is what it says. I'm not totally blaming Mike Norvell for this.
And Willie Taggart. Willie Taggart.
Willie didn't do any favors either, but Willie took over, scorched earth too. I mean, this is all Doofus Brain's fault. Okay.
At this point, it's still Jimbo Fisher's doing. At this point.
Yeah. I don't know if
seriously.
You can,
I don't know if
you can sponsor it by the National Spelling Bee or whatever. But I'm just saying 1,000 words a minute, man. Whatever Jimbo is, with his talking really fast, and it's hard to as a stenographer to transcribe all that crap. But I'm just saying it's Jimbo's fault. Florida State football being in the crapper is Jimbo's fault completely. It's not Willie Taggart's.
He left in 2017.
He did.
18, 19, 20, 21.
That just shows you. Hey, I'm just telling.
No, I'm just saying this is 5 years now removed from Jimbo Fisher leaving Florida State.
I'm just telling you, when he fails miserably at Texas A&M, just get ready for what you're going to have to clean up. Okay? This is not going to be quite I hesitate to say it'll be as bad as he left FSU. It may not be, but it's going to be bad, okay? It's kind of like Urban Meyer when he left Florida, and it was basically, America's Most Wanted, the reality show on college football program. That's how bad it was as far as the discipline, the character of the players, everything you had to Will Muschamp tried to clean that up, but problem is Will's not a great head coach. It was kind of like Willie Taggart, and we'll see on Mike Norvell. Okay, it's Mike Norvell.
If Florida State finishes 5th in the Atlantic Division, does Mike Norvell? By the way, they got 2 first-place votes. Have no idea why. It's kind of like Vanderbilt getting 1 in the SEC right now.
Yeah.
If Mike Norvell finishes 5th at Florida State, if this holds true, does Mike Norvell survive another year at Florida State? Does he get another year to
I would
continue
think
to
so.
rebuild that
I don't
program?
think they have. We talked to Brent Beard,
Right.
just several days ago, and he said they don't have the money, and they can't keep buying coaches out. I think, but I think what everyone's looking toward is if in the next couple of years, if Deion Sanders can continue to win at a high level at Jackson State and give them some validity nationally and recruit the way he's doing, you would think, much like Mario Cristobal leaving Oregon to come home to the U, that Deion Sanders would be the odds-on favorite to be the next coach at Florida State. Because, he's one of their most prominent alums. He has unbelievable magnetism. He's on television with Nick Saban all the time. He could recruit and get good players there. Now, the issue has been he was a high school coach, and now he's trying to prove himself on the college level. But if he continues to win the SWAC at Jackson State,
right,
I think that he will get an opportunity at a place like a Florida State. I just think, we'll see what Deion's ultimate goal is as a coach, but I could definitely see him eventually leading the Seminoles, and maybe he would be able to get them to the top of the ACC. Now, if realignment keeps happening and FSU joins the SEC, it won't be as easy. But still, it would be fascinating to see Deion bring Florida State into the SEC. And can you imagine Deion at SEC Media Days?
Right.
I mean, that would be unbelievable, being able to ask him questions, being around him. He's a high-energy guy, very passionate about what he's doing. So it's going to be really interesting to watch. Mike Norvell did a great job at Memphis. There's been a lot of guys that have. Justin Fuente, too. But we all saw Justin Fuente never got over the hump at Virginia Tech. He flamed out, and so he's trying to restart his career. We'll see what happens with Mike Norvell. I don't blame Mike Norvell for taking the job. I mean, you're in the middle of a talent-laden place in the state of Florida, but, they don't have the greatest facilities. They don't have the greatest financial commitment. It's why Mark Stoops did not go from Kentucky to Florida State. Think about that. He didn't think Florida State was committed, and they have better facilities at Kentucky football-wise than they do at FSU. Even with the 3 national championships, the 2 by Coach Bowden, the 1 by Dirtneck, which was luck because, Auburn handed him that on a plate. That should have been Auburn's second in 4 years. But, again, it's just one of those things where Dirtneck, everything went his way. And he won a championship, and now he's fleeced a university out of $96 million thinking he's some elite coach that he will never be. So we'll see. I think they're going to go 8-4 again. I wish they'd go 0-12. Probably going to mention that every show, but I know it's not very likely. But hell, I'm going to hope. Because I hate Jimbo Fisher.
Really?
Yes.
I don't think our listeners understand the fact that you dislike Jimbo Fisher.
No, hate.
If only you could tell them you dislike Jimbo Fisher.
I don't like liars. I don't like guys that talk out of both sides of their mouths. Can't stand them. So
cut you off.
Yeah, and he cut me off. But he made my point though because he lied through his teeth. I mean, like I said, I could have made national headlines by doing an on ESPN saying, Coach, I think the lie detector just went off. But I didn't because I don't want my credentials revoked. But again, like I said, he lied through his teeth.
The one thing I want to know, and we are kind of going back and forth here a little bit, but Jimbo Fisher said, is that guy no longer with the program, the one that did the video? Because if you listen to what he said he had only been with us for a little bit. He had only been with us. So is the guy no longer there?
I don't know. I haven't done any research on that. He can try to throw that kid under he's good at throwing people under the bus besides himself, though. I think you've probably noticed that. It's always somebody else's fault, just like he blamed Florida State for not giving him good enough facilities, even though he had no discipline in his program and people were walking out of Publix with crab legs and then standing on tables and insulting people, and he was supposed to be the leader of the team, and then he was supposed to be, not playing and dressed for a game. He comes out dressed for a game, and Jimbo has to send Moron back to the locker room to take his uniform off. I mean, he had such great, discipline in that program and was running it so well.
All right. We got to get a break in. When we come back, Kevin Warren talks college expansion. We'll talk a little Big Ten and some SEC as well.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
It's got a new rack. This one's going to be eastbound, 565, mile marker 2. That's getting very close to Greenbrier. Got 4 vehicles reported involved. That one is coming in as an injury type, so it may take a few minutes to get it cleared out of the way. D&L Refrigeration repairs heating and air conditioning units for homes and businesses. D&L 256-652-1207. State license 08091. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
When our lives were interrupted, Madison Academy immediately began distance learning instruction thanks to our Apple device program and a well-prepared faculty.
When our success in athletics led to a new competitive balance rule, Madison Academy was prepared to face the new challenges head-on.
We understand a thing or two about winning, and it always begins with preparation. Learn how our balanced approach to learning prepares the mind, body, and soul. Visit our website at macademy.org to learn more. Strong minds, strong faith, that's Madison Academy.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed precision overhead garage door service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision overhead garage door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision overhead garage door service. Call 256-400-4500.
All right, where are we going for breakfast?
I kind of want a breakfast quesadilla.
Oh, I didn't know they were doing quesadillas for breakfast these days.
Well, Taco Bell is.
Wow, I had no idea.
Yeah, they have this Bell breakfast box now that comes with this breakfast quesadilla that's super cheesy and a hash brown.
Okay, I wish I knew about this earlier.
And it has Cinnabon Delights and a coffee in it.
Why did I not know about this earlier?
Try the new $5 Bell breakfast box, only at Taco Bell. At participating U.S. Taco Bell locations during breakfast hours only, 7 to 11 a.m. for a limited time. Contact local store for prices and participation with beer. Tax extra. Drinks exclude freezes.
Welcome to Allstate, where you can save just by being you. DriveWise in the Allstate mobile app gives you personalized driving feedback, and by adding it to your policy, you can save for driving safe just by being yourself. Allstate. Here, better protection costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands with Allstate. Click, call, or visit allstate.com to save today.
Not available in every state. Savings based on DriveWise and other safe driving discounts. Savings vary. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care. Specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
Hey folks, this is Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia, here letting you know we are proud supporters of Madison Academy football. Stop into the University Kia today and shop our large selection of new Kias, including the all-new Telluride 8-passenger SUV, the stylish new K5, and sporty new Seltos. Visit universitykia.com to view all our great offers and get pre-approved in minutes so you can drive home your new Kia today, because we want to see you in a Kia. Go Mustangs!
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
A wise man once said, if you take care of old folks and children, everything in the middle will take care of itself.
Hi, I'm Danny Aldridge, lawyer in Alabama and Tennessee. In the next 20 years, the number of those folks over 65 years of age will more than double. In our golden years, the most important goal is to be treated with dignity and have control over doing what makes you grateful with those you love. At the Aldridge Law Firm and the Legal Town Center, we're dedicated to help you with these goals, and we'll be there when life throws you those inevitable curveballs. Let us assist you with your legal needs, whatever they may be or become. You may reach us by phone at 256-534-3188 or online with Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Just remember, we're here to help. Whether it's personal injury, wrongful death, fraud and cheat, or estate planning made complete, we're here to help.
This is Chuck Oliver. Listen to me coming up at noon today. Now, back to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
All right, welcome back. Talking Ball 97.7 ESPN, The Zone. Scott Tyson, Drew DeArmond with you till 9 a.m. in what has been a fun show so far. 256-576-4977. That is how you get in on the show this morning. And coming up here in just a little bit, we're going to check in with Kevin Warren because he had Big Ten Media Days yesterday. And I don't know if you saw this yesterday.
Yeah.
But this will help us lead into when we get to the Big Ten stuff. Governor Gavin Newsom, your favorite state, the governor of your favorite state out west, California.
Yeah. Mexifornia.
Yeah. He has spoken out against UCLA, not USC, because USC is a private school, but he has spoken out against UCLA moving to the Big Ten, saying that it's the duty of every public university, it's to the people, especially the students. He says UCLA must clearly explain to the public how this deal will improve the experience for all of its student athletes, will honor its century-old partnership with UC Berkeley, and will preserve the histories, rivalries, and traditions that enrich our communities. He wants answers as to why UCLA moved to the Big Ten.
Why does gas cost $9 in California? That's what I'd want him to answer. Shut up. They don't owe you anything. They're trying to make money. They're wanting to cash a $100 million check. They don't give a rat's rip about Cal Berkeley. Now, we have a prominent member of our community, Daryl Miles, who is a Cal Berkeley alum who played there. He would understand the rivalries and the Pac-12 and all that. And it's unfortunate because those rivalries have been around a long, long time. But college football and college athletics are changing.
UCLA was facing financial hardships. They were fixing to cut several sports if they did not make this move.
And I mean, and they still have a great brand. So that's what they're doing. They're looking out for themselves. That's what everybody has to do now. They don't owe some moron in California, a state that is run pathetically.
Governor, by the way.
I know, whatever. I mean, their state is a crap hole. And that's why gas costs $9 in some places. The economy is terrible. And, I'm sorry. It is what it is.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's because of pathetic leadership like that. He's more concerned with preserving rivalries with Cal and UCLA than fixing the economy in his own state and securing the borders and doing other things that are more important. I mean, athletics is why we're here. I love athletics. It's what I do I cover it for a living. But people also have to live day to day and live their lives, and that's why you have to prioritize things. That's why he's a politician. That's what he's supposed to be doing, not bloviating and saying stupid things like that.
But have we replaced the integrity of college athletics for money?
Well, I mean, we have to. I mean, money's what makes the world go around. That's where it is now. I would love to preserve it. I'm old school like Nick Saban. I'd love the Pac-12 to survive and, the conferences to be like they have been for the last 40 or 50 years.
I mean,
but look, okay. The one thing, I'm not a Roy Kramer fan, but the one thing he did do is he was kind of a visionary. He saw, these conferences needing to expand. He's the one that invited South Carolina and Arkansas. He's the one that went to divisional play and went to an SEC championship game. That's what's stunning. You go back and read the history. They had a hard time getting that game on television.
Yeah, remember we learned about that.
Yeah, they wanted $1 million. I mean, that's how much they got for the first SEC championship game. Think about that. And
ABC paid
stepped up
SEC
at the last
$1 million.
minute.
Yeah, the last minute. They didn't even have it sold when they announced it.
Yeah.
ABC came in the last minute.
Because everybody was wondering, is that going to work?
Yeah.
And many people weren't sure it would. And it did. Now it's worth, hundreds of millions, if not billions of dollars because it's part of a huge TV contract. Now the SEC leaving the CBS and going to go back to ABC and ESPN. So, again, it's about money. That's what it's about now. It's changed. And that's why Nick Saban is wants people to change with the times. And, he's not a huge fan of the conference expansion, but at the same time, if it leads to more conference games, which is what he's in favor of, if it leads to more interest, then you put more butts in the seats, because that's what it's about now. I mean, I'll say this. Look, what did Dave Matter say yesterday? In the last couple of years, in the first couple of seasons under Elijah Drinkwitz at Missouri, people forget Mizzou's stadium holds 71,000 people. It's pretty big.
Yes.
But he was saying that they're averaging about 50,000 people.
Yeah,
and
they're having
a very
hard time
temperamental
getting people
fan
in there.
base.
Yep.
You're trying to get people's butts in the seats, and so that's what you need. You need to sell tickets, and that's what these super conferences are going to help do.
All right, let's get out to the phone lines. 256-576-4977. Pat from Tuscaloosa with us this morning. Good morning, Pat.
Good morning, Scott. Good morning, Drew. Drew, thank you for taking my answering my telephone call yesterday to the show in Tuscaloosa.
No problem.
But I want to talk to you today, though, about, have you read the Mike Leach report and what Mike Leach's plan is? Hey, just because he's a pirate and he wears an eye patch, he's not totally stupid. Have you read this?
I have not read it this morning, Pat.
Okay, well, it was on last night. I read it last night, and to give you just a quick rundown, what he wants to do is he wants to have it to where that you take your top 200 athletes, ever how many it is, as far as your ESPN 200 or whatever services they are, and you take those and you put them in a draft. Everybody else that goes to college on a going to get a education type of scholarship. You get your college scholarship, your stipend, all those kinds of things. But those kids are drafted. Those top 200 are drafted amongst your because we're gonna wind up probably, most people think, with 60 schools. And each 60 schools are going to have a draft, and they'll get a chance to get one or two of those, probably 4 or 5, maybe it'll be every how many rounds. But even a little league has a draft. We've got to do something, and Leach is right. You got to do something to get guardrails on this thing, to get this back under some kind of control. And those kids would not get a college education. They would be going strictly to take the professional aspect of it, or whatever they could make, and then the rest of everybody else would be going to get an education. And once they finish their education, they get 5 years to finish their education, and they get $150,000 payday when they left school.
Yeah, Mike, he came out with this at SEC Media Days, and I don't know if you heard this. This is when he released this plan, and he says that it's to put the kids in 2 specific groups. He wants to put them in student athletes and professionals. Those are the 2 groups that he wants to put them in. He says if you finish your eligibility at the same school and graduate, that is what you need to do. He says he doesn't like taking the degree out of the question. Degrees help lives, help families, helps generations. Then at the end of your career and graduation, because he doesn't have the perfect amount, but he says it could be upwards of $150,000. He doesn't have a specific amount to that.
Yeah. And I think that, like I said, this sounds pretty darn good, because most kids, when they get out of school, hey, $150,000 would help set them up to be able to do a whole lot of things toward whatever their degree was.
Yeah, he's basically the $150,000, Drew, is on the table. If you enter the transfer portal one time, the $150,000 goes away. You don't get the $150,000 at all. It's like a retention bonus for staying at your school.
Well, it's very interesting. The only problem is, though, you got NIL opportunities for a lot of the high-profile guys that even if they go in the portal, they can still earn that money. So it's going to be interesting to see how they try to get a hold of this NIL and the guardrail and the transfer. I will say this. One of the stories that came out of SEC Media Days about allowing transfers more than one time and basically unlimited transfers, I think that's stupidity. I don't know why they're even considering that.
Well, you can't have unlimited transfers.
I mean, that's basically, I don't think that'll ever get passed. I think that's idiotic.
No.
I mean, you can't, because then it's just like free agents. You're going to have, kids going to 5 schools in 5 years. Yeah, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They're just going to continue to try to restart their career elsewhere.
Yeah, Drew, I got to ask this question. Would that not enable teams that are in the playoffs to pick up kids from other schools right before the playoffs?
No,
not they wouldn't
mid-season.
be eligible. I mean, no, it wouldn't be. They wouldn't be allowed that. But I mean, it's still, they would allow you to transfer. And again, I do agree with what they're trying to pass as far as the windows of when you can transfer. I do agree with that. But again, I don't agree with being able to transfer multiple times. I think you should be able to transfer twice. Once during your career, if you don't like your situation, like a Jermaine Burton, or if you graduate and get a degree and you can graduate transfer. Other than that, it's stupidity. I just think you can't have unfiltered free agency. How in the hell, if you're a college coach, do you build a roster? If you decide to make a guy run gassers after a practice, he gets pissed off and just decides,
what about
I'm
if
gone.
your head coach leaves?
Well, I mean,
you have no way to punish anybody, and Drew, you're absolutely correct. Somebody's got to die and make you king. All right, hey, have a blessed day.
Thank you, Pat.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
All right, we'll talk more about that Mike Leach plan, but let's stay out there on the phone lines. Brandon's with us this morning. Good morning, Brandon.
Good morning, guys.
Morning.
Hey, Scott, congratulations on the pickup for Iowa State men's basketball. The Omaha Blue, is that how you say that guy's name?
Oh, for Iowa State, the 5-star forward?
Yeah, that's a big pickup for them.
Yeah, it is. Unfortunately, he went to the wrong school, but that's okay. It's not. I mean, that's his choice. If he wants to wear some bad cardinal red and yellow, that's or whatever they call it, that's his choice.
Yeah, he's Peyton Manning's favorite call sign. I wonder, does Smokey Mike have a kid named Omaha?
Do you have a kid named Omaha?
That is a negative there, Coach.
Well, I will say this too, Brandon. I mean, I know Pat brought up an interesting point, and Scott did too, about what if your head coach leaves.
Yeah.
To me, if you allow a transfer, then that's when you should have to sit out. And I mean, if your head coach leaves, and then you'd have to get your release and be able to move on. But to me, you'd have to sit out a year, and then you wouldn't lose a year of eligibility. Let me understand that, but I think that's where they could still use where you have to sit out a full year. But we'll see. But again, that is a slippery slope where the head coaches can leave, and if a kid wants to follow a head coach somewhere. But again, that is the one area that I think, to me, where they might need to tweak something. Because again, I understand a lot of times a kid doesn't. We try to romanticize it, but they don't choose the school because of, I love the campus, I love the environment. They're choosing it, 80% of the time or more because of the head coach.
Well, and I have a question for Scott about his Heisman vote. I talked to Czar the other day, and we had a conversation about Chris Russo, moron, and all the mouth running that he did the other day about Will Anderson. And I saw this in play several times. Scott, when you go to vote for the Heisman candidate, do you sit down and say, okay, I was given a vote, and I was given this criteria to look at to what to vote for? Does this person meet all this criteria, or do you just vote for what you want and who you want, and to hell with the criteria? I'm just wondering, how do you do what you do?
So I do. When Jameis Winston was at Florida State, and I voted for him that first year that he won the Heisman. The second year, when he gets all of that trouble, I did not put him in there because of everything else. I do look at everything that goes into the criteria. It is the best player in college football, not the best offensive player in college football. Yes, it has become an offensive award because that is where, majority of the voters look at is the quarterback or the wide receiver occasionally. But I do look at, I put Will Anderson in my top 3 last year. I had him number 2 last year.
Instead of Aiden Hutchinson,
Instead
who
of
couldn't
Aiden
clean
Hutchinson.
his bathroom.
Yeah.
And Aiden was a good player.
So
Not
I do
saying he
look at a
wasn't,
lot
but
of the
he's not Will
criteria.
Anderson.
I look at it as the best player in college football.
Do you see that you think that there are a lot of voters that have a vote that shouldn't have one?
Yes.
And that they abuse the criteria and say, I have a vote, I'm going to vote for whatever I want and however I want, and nobody's going to do anything about it.
Personally, I think there's a lot of voters that across the country that have votes that used to pay attention to college football 24/7. And that was what they done. And now they've moved on, and they don't pay attention to college football as much until the last month of the season.
I don't think Christopher Russo pays attention to it at all. He needs to stick to the MLB network or whatever the hell he does.
I think there's guys that don't pay attention to it until the very end. They sit there, they Google, hey, here's your Heisman. Who's
he lives
right
in
now?
New York City, for crying out loud. They don't even know what college football is.
Well, even the czar said that Russo is a baseball man.
He is.
And does not know how the football is blown up.
He has no idea. He just talks loud, and he just, and bloviates, and they pay him a lot of money. And he's in a huge market in New York City, and he rants and raves. Okay, that's basically what he does.
Well, and to me, I see that is what is wrong, and I wonder why the Heisman Trust does not see people make comments like this and say, hey, that comment that you just made, that just got your vote. We're going to reassign it.
I don't even take seriously what he said. I haven't even read all the comments because as soon as I heard it was Christopher Russo, I was like, who gives a damn? All he knows about is Major League Baseball. So that's or maybe the NFL, but I'm just like, who cares? I've watched a little bit of his High Heat or whatever they call it on MLB Network, and I'm like, well, he needs to stick to that. He's not a college football guy. That's the first comments I can ever remember being attributed to him for college football.
I as well. That's the first time I've heard him mention anything at all about it.
Okay.
And I remember when Cam Newton got the Heisman.
Yeah.
I remember there was a faction of voters that said, look, this guy stole from his own teammates at Florida and got kicked off of his team. I cannot vote for this guy because he does not have integrity. And there were people, it was on SportsCenter, I watched it, they said, that does not matter. It's who's the best player on the field.
And he was the best player.
They are not. But he was the best player. But
right.
People were saying that Heisman criteria is garbage. You vote for what you want to vote for. And ever since then, I've looked at that and realized that there are a lot of voters that are a problem. And I feel like it needs to be reassessed. I think the Heisman ought to be taking a look and saying, hey, when you're going out here making public comments that go against the voting criteria we give you, you need to be relieved of your vote.
All right, Brandon, thanks for the call, bud.
Thank you.
This stuff's made in New York City.
All right, this is.
That's perfect.
All right, let's get this breaking. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to get this break in. We're going to go to the phone lines when we come back, and then we're going to let you guys hear Chris Russo talk about why he won't vote for Will Anderson.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
They're still pushing all the traffic to the two left lanes eastbound on 565 east of I-65. Two different wrecks in there. One of them's got 5 or 6 vehicles involved with an injury. The other's got a tractor trailer involved. They're working to get all that cleared up. Everything else looking good this morning. I don't see any other snags for you. Officers, construction workers, and first responders put their lives on the line every time they step on the roadway. Why not make it safer for them? Move over. It's the law. Captain Nick in the North Parkway Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
At Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, people call the award-winning burgers totally insane, which is a compliment because Bad Daddy's Burgers are just that. Chef-inspired expressions of pure burger amazingness built with premium Angus beef. They're bold and they're bad. Pair one with one of their signature cocktails or assortment of local craft brews. Right now, you can get $50 worth of Bad Daddy goodness for just $25 with our zone deals. Log on 977ESPN.com now to get your deal before they're gone. This time of year, it's hot. But with Brooks & Collier, you can be outside and comfortable. That's why Brooks & Collier has deep discounts on a large selection of patio umbrellas, furniture, and grills. With these patio umbrellas, you're sure to have a nice, shaded spot to relax. Lucy knows the best spot is a shaded spot. So if you're looking to spruce up your backyard and make it more comfortable, visit North Alabama's indoor and outdoor living headquarters for over 75 years. 813 Meridian Street and at brooksandcollier.com.
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
Welcome to Allstate, where you can save just by being you. DriveWise in the Allstate mobile app gives you personalized driving feedback, and by adding it to your policy, you can save for driving safe just by being yourself. Allstate. Here, better protection costs a whole lot less. You're in good hands with Allstate. Click, call, or visit allstate.com to save today.
Not available in every state. Savings based on DriveWise and other safe driving discounts. Savings vary. Subject to terms and conditions. Allstate Fire and Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, Northbrook, Illinois.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. You know, you'll hear people say we're like a family, but here at the Lackey Law Firm, that's really true, not just a saying.
I'm Justin Lackey. With my father and my sister, we have a special connection to each other.
I'm Jennifer Lackey. At the Lackey Law Firm, when we take on your case, you become part of our family. You really do.
And we'll always do whatever it takes to get everything you deserve.
If you're injured, you worry about getting well, not about paperwork or insurance companies or figuring out how to get to your lawyer's office. I'll come to you.
We worry about your case so you don't have to.
When you've been injured, we know that your case is probably the biggest thing going on in your life. More important than almost anything else.
And it's important to us too, for one simple reason. Family takes care of each other, and at the Lackey Law Firm, we'll take care of you.
The Lackey Law Firm. The Lackey Law Family. 1-800-4-RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
Live local shows.
Hello.
Live local play-by-play.
Oh, now's a good time to check the radio.
Plus, the power of ESPN Radio. It's all right here. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hi, I'm Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia in Huntsville, Alabama. We are the proud transportation sponsors of Talking Ball at 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
I'm on vacation.
We're not on vacation. We're fired up. We've been fired up.
Russo's on vacation.
He's not on vacation, but this was what Chris Russo said.
You should think so hearing this.
Why he will not vote for Will Anderson for the Heisman. It's got to play first. I knew that would happen because the internet sometimes does not like me when I am all set up and ready to go.
Right.
Let's try this again. Let's see if this works.
They are not voting, and I'm a voter too. I'm not voting for Will Anderson for the Heisman Trophy. I'm sorry, I'm not doing it. That's an offensive award. That's a quarterback award, and that's a running back award. I don't even like giving it to wide receivers. That's where I'm going to go, because without the quarterback, you're not winning.
Wow.
And it's about the guy who's got the best quarterback. So I'm voting offense. I'm voting young. I'm voting young.
Mad Dog, when you get your ballot, bud, does it say best quarterback or wide receiver or offensive player in college football?
It says, it's
just out of curiosity.
When I look at it as most valuable. Let me ask you this. Who could Alabama least afford to lose? The quarterback or Will Anderson? The answer is the quarterback.
It does.
They have a million. They have a million defensive.
It doesn't say most valuable.
No, but you could evaluate. It doesn't. I don't care what it says. They give you the award. You evaluate it as a voter. You can look at that award any way you want. the same thing in every award with MVP in baseball and basketball. You evaluate the award the way you want to evaluate the award. And if you look at the Alabama team, Young's going to have a big year. Anderson's going to have a big year. But if Anderson gets hurt, they can replace him. If Young gets hurt, they can't. So they can't. They don't have a quarterback to replace to win a championship.
Okay, Mad Dog. Okay, to your point, I'm going to take you back. I'm going to take you back a couple years ago. Then, Mac Jones was the starting quarterback. Bryce Young was on the bench. How did Alabama look?
Okay, well that's one example. Ryan, to give you one example in 80 years.
That was David.
Actually, it's not 1 in 80. I mean, he forgot some cat named Tua Tagovailoa who was before him, and even Jalen Hurts, who's the starter for the Philadelphia Eagles. So, but I mean, the only part of that I'll agree with Christopher Russo is Alabama has to have Bryce Young healthy. I mean, now I do think Ty Simpson has a chance to be a great player. I think Jalen Milroe's talented, but they're not experienced. So they do need Bryce Young healthy to win a national championship. But if Will Anderson is the most dominant player, if he's the best player, I know that they could still put a Quandarius Robinson in or a Keanu Coote and guys like that. But again, Alabama could put in Ty Simpson. I know people think hell's freezing over, but I'm agreeing with David Pollack here. But Mac Jones was ready to take the reins from Tua Tagovailoa. So it's always possible to replace a player. It's more likely to be able to replace a Will Anderson than a Bryce Young, and that's where I'm agreeing with Russo. But still, the Heisman does not say best quarterback or best wide receiver, best running back.
Offensive
you have to, show judgment and vote for the best player. And to be honest with you, that's why Charles Woodson won it in '97. I know Peyton Manning had a lot of people wanting him to win it, but his team lost decisively to Florida, and that year Michigan was undefeated, won the national title, and Charles Woodson played all three phases. He didn't play offense all the time, but when he did, he made big plays. He made big plays as a returner, and of course, he was the best cornerback in the country. And the plays he made were impactful, and he won the Heisman Trophy. And I mean, there were some people, including my father, who were really irritated by that and thought Peyton Manning should have won it. But I think Charles Woodson was the most impactful player that year. In the way and now I will say this: one loss, if they had not beat the Suckeyes and had lost a game, he wouldn't have won the Heisman Trophy. But they won he won the Heisman because his team won a national championship, something that Michigan had not done, I think, since the 1960s. And so it was a huge season for Lloyd Carr. It basically bought him a ton of equity. Yep. Michigan's never won anything since then. So, again, it was just a huge season for Charles Woodson. Everything fell into place. And I could see a scenario where that happened for Will Anderson if Alabama is undefeated in the playoff and he, has a 20-sack season. It could happen. Is it likely to happen? No, because he's a defensive player. But, again, and the one thing I will say, Nick Saban's not going to line up Will Anderson offensively. He doesn't do that kind of thing. He's not going to, we're going to line him up at tight end just to try to win the Heisman Trophy. He's not going to do something stupid like Jimbo would do. Jimbo would do something stupid like that to try to make headlines and try to prove that he's smarter than everybody and then fall on his face like he always does.
All right, let's go on to the phone lines. Oh my goodness! All right, who we got?
What's up, Bama Bino? How you doing, man?
Good morning, bud.
Oh, great show this morning, guys.
Thank you, sir.
I always like to hear from Brandon because unlike Feinbaum's show, he actually has something to say instead of building drama like some of Feinbaum's callers. And plus, y'all are in way above the league of anything Feinbaum's ever done. That's a great show. And plus when Brandon calls, it gives me another excuse to say go Brandon, except when I'm not at the gas pump. But anyway.
Hey, at least it was under $4 yesterday. In California, though, it's probably 8.5. Thanks to their stupid governor.
This Russo idiot. They need to move him to California because California is a sanctuary state for morons. It's got to be. They just need to build a wall around California and let Mexico annex it. That's all I got to say.
Loving this tape.
Oh, boy.
sanctuary state for morons.
Yeah.
But anyway, your show is so substantive. You've got good technical guys behind you, and it's informative. And there's that just proves God had some sense of humor when He created humanity, because He has to. If we did everything California done. That's why our gas is high. The California emissions back in the price of right stays. And, now that they created this NIL thing that we've got to fix, why do we have to do everything California does? My goodness. But I just had to put my 2 cents in on that one. And go, Brandon, and y'all keep up the good work.
Thank you, Bino. Hey, I think that's a great liner, what he said about California myself.
A sanctuary
for morons.
Pretty
much.
Oh, my goodness. Look, we just say what's going on. Anyway, 256-576-4977. That's the number to the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline if you want to get in. Just a few minutes left here in hour one.
That's pretty much giving you what I think a validation for what he just said.
Oh, I don't. Interesting. Just a short time left. Anyway, it's make sure you download the app today. 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Just search for 977 ESPN The Zone in your app store or marketplace, so you can take us with you. Again, short time left, but I think we're going to go out to the phone lines real fast before the break here.
What's up, Dale? What's quick.
Up, Dale?
Morning, guys. How y'all?
Good.
Morning. How are you?
I'm all right. Hey, Drew, do you think Miami give up too much for Tyreek Hill?
No, I think they needed a big play receiver. They weren't going to get one in the draft to complement Waddle. I think Tyreek had his salary demands. I think Kansas City was ready to move on because I think Kansas City believes that Patrick Mahomes can elevate those around him. Now, we're going to find out. I think Tyreek is uniquely talented. Now, he's had some issues off the field earlier in his career. Kansas City needs to, stay on the straight and narrow with the Dolphins. But I think the Dolphins are finally trying to help Tua Tagovailoa. I don't think Brian Flores did at all. He didn't help with his OC hires. He didn't help with the scheme. He wanted, a different QB that's in San Diego, basically, Justin Herbert. So I think Tyreek Hill is going to be a good fit there. Now, the pressure's on Tua. He's got to stay healthy. He's got to produce. But certainly now with Mike Gesicki, with Tyreek Hill, with Jalen Waddle, they let Devontae Parker move on to the New England Patriots. But I really think that the Dolphins have a chance to be better offensively.
Thanks for the phone call. That is going to do it for hour one here of Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. We're going to jump start hour number 2 when we come back and bring in our first guest of the morning. Vince Ferrara. I had a chance to connect with him at SEC Media Days. Good dude. Going to join us next.
Ann Adams with Berkshire Hathaway Rise Real Estate is the one name to know if you're buying or selling real estate. With years of local experience, Ann Adams offers buyers in-depth knowledge of the local housing market and will narrow available properties down to those you'll be interested in so you can save time when shopping for your new home. If you're ready to sell, Ann offers a seamless process using accurate pricing and expert negotiation skills to make sure you get a fair price for your home. Call Ann Adams today at 256-337-2625 or log on bhhsriserealestate.com.
Tom Luganbill here for my friends at Woody Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
WZZN, Union Grove, Huntsville, Alabama. 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
It's got a new wreck at 36 in Peachtree. That's in Hartselle, east of I-65. That one may have an injury involved. And we got 2 different wrecks on 565 eastbound, east of I-65. 6 vehicles in one and a tractor-trailer involved in the other one. They've been pushing all the traffic over to the 2 left lanes. Dr. Sandman has the Somnodent, a safe, insurance-approved alternative for snoring and sleep apnea. Dr. Sandlin, 350-CARE. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
From the Fox 54 Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman. A partly sunny sky this afternoon. Temperatures climbing into the mid-90s. An isolated, widely scattered shower or thunderstorm is going to be possible through the heart of the afternoon, early into the evening. Typical summertime pattern. Most of us probably going to end up staying dry. Otherwise, it's just simply hot and humid. Temperatures drop into the mid-70s as we head into the overnight. I'm Chief Meteorologist Jordan Dressman on your home for ESPN Radio, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
UFC 277 set for Saturday in Dallas. The main event, the highly anticipated rematch between Amanda Nunes and Juliana Pena for the Women's Bantamweight Championship. Nunes a minus 275 favorite, Pena plus 230. For the interim flyweight championship, Brandon Moreno minus 220 against Kai Kara France at plus 175. Patrick Cantlay, the favorite at the Rocket Mortgage Classic underway this week. Cantlay at plus 1,000. 3M Open champion Tony Finau at plus 1,400, along with Will Zalatoris, Cameron Young at plus 1,600. Braves and Phillies game 3 this afternoon. Atlanta minus 172 on the money line. Philadelphia plus 140 at home. The over-under at 8.5. The teams have split the first 2 games of the series. Red hot winning picks at experts.winnersandwiners.com. Save 75% on any best bet package with the promo code ACTION75. That's ACTION75 at experts.winnersandwiners.com.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
And welcome back to Hour 2, Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Scott Theisen, Drew DeArmond with you for another hour on a Wednesday morning in what has been a very interesting show. We have kind of covered, I think, every gamut in college football, from the Big Ten to the SEC to California to everything. We have touched on a little bit of everything. But in SEC Media Days, to close it all down on Thursday, we got the Tennessee Volunteers and head coach Josh Heupel. And then the next day, you get the allegations coming out against Jeremy Pruitt. So to say it's been some very good, optimistic news for Tennessee to here we go again news for Tennessee, I guess would be an understatement. It's like a roller coaster with them.
It has been a little bit, and that was a good first year for Josh Heupel, a solid one. Really probably would have rather had the bowl win and the Music City Bowl, and probably should have. But again, I thought it was a year of overachieving. Hendon Hooker established himself. I have him probably in the top 3, number 2, actually, in the overall SEC quarterback rankings going into the season. Won't mean anything when the season gets underway, but I do think they have one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC. He was a revelation last year as he took over for Joe Milton. But we're going to talk with our great friend Vince Ferrara from the Sports Radio WNML. He was there all week for SEC Media Days. We always enjoy catching up with him, and he's going to join us right now live from Tampa, Florida on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline. Vince, welcome back. How are you?
I'm great. Awesome to see both of you guys in Atlanta. I almost said Hoover out of habit.
Right.
They did a good job in Atlanta. I thought they were much improved from the last time. Listened to the media's feedback. We'll have some more feedback for them after this one, and we'll see what Nashville looks like. But awesome to be with you guys as always.
Yeah. You're okay. Before we get down to Josh Heupel's thoughts, your thoughts though from SEC Media Days as a whole.
I thought from the media's work perspective, I thought it was much improved. The Radio Row area, especially where there was a lot more media, kind of above the main room. So there was some more traffic there. You were able to get people coming through. and players and coaches. So I think it was a lot more accessible this year. I think I saw more coaches this year on Radio Row than we have in a long time, and that would include Hoover. Still kind of spread out, so wasn't a big fan of that. I thought for Tennessee it worked out really well to where it ramped up to Tennessee, and we were able to talk to a lot of people about the Vols as the week went on. And I tell my audience all the time that you can't just look at your own team, and this applies for Alabama fans or anybody else's fans. You can't just lock in on your team and act like none of that other stuff matters. You don't care about the other stuff, because what you hear and learn from all the other teams helps you shape your opinion and perspective on really where your team is. Now, I know from Alabama's standpoint, it's always on top looking down at everybody else. But when you're somebody other than Alabama and Georgia, learning about everybody else is a good thing. And so I do think it applies. And I thought a lot of people said good things about Tennessee throughout the week, as I'm sure you guys heard. And then on the last day, you actually got to hear from Tennessee, and I thought they did a really nice job. And contrary to belief, we actually learned a few things about the Vols there, even those of us that cover the team. So I think it went really well from a Tennessee standpoint.
Well, Vince, that's a great segue. What did we learn or did about the Vols in your mind from the Atlanta and the College Football Hall of Fame?
Well, just a few news and notes that Brew McCoy, the USC transfer wide receiver, he is on campus. He's been a part of their off season. He was announced as a summer enrollee. He's not quite eligible yet. Josh Heupel said he had one more hurdle to overcome. The fact that they were openly talking about him, Heupel and his teammates, tells me that they're pretty confident that that's going to happen. There's not really much of a track record right now in the current state of the NCAA denying waivers. They may wait till the last minute, who knows, but that was one. Also, I thought Cedric Tillman was as open as we've seen him in any of our settings. I mean, he talked about how he considered transferring, thought about, hey, is this the place for me? When there was the coaching change, he had 8 combined receptions in 3 seasons at Tennessee before Heupel came on, but he decided to stay. And then even during the year last year, he didn't get off to a hot start. It was after, I guess, Game 4, the Florida game, he asked for the ball. We hadn't heard that before. He said he asked the coaches to involve him, so they made it a point to start getting him the ball, and it paid off for them. Coinciding with that was the move of Bayless Jones over to slot, and things really started to cook. Certainly Hendon Hooker being there was a part of it too. And then Cedric Tillman encouraging people to get into the NIL to not blow their money on jewelry and material things. Like, save your money. And then he also encouraged people not to transfer, because he was a prime example of that. So there was other little news and notes, but those are just a few things that jumped out that were really interesting, and obviously a lot of positivity about how the off season has gone for all of those guys.
How optimistic then? I left Hoover again thinking that the Vols, they're primed to have another great year with Josh Heupel, but it is year 2. People make adjustments. This league is smart. The coaches are smart. How optimistic are you for Tennessee to have a better year, maybe 1-2 more wins along the way than last year?
For that threshold, Scott, 1 or 2 more wins, I am very optimistic. I think this offense is going to put up numbers. You get Hendon Hooker from the start, which was not the case last year for the first 2 games. You have an entire offseason where there's not the quarterback competition hanging over them, and Hendon Hooker's not thinking about himself and getting the gig. He's he's running the team. He's the face of the program. And Drew, the lead-in, was talking about him a little bit. I think he's a program changer, and that's how important finding a high-level quarterback is. That was a complete unknown last year. Remember, it started out as a 4-quarterback competition last year. So it is so different now, and he gets to impact his team in the off season. He is such an unselfish guy, and I think even though he lost a couple of key weapons on the outside that are now in NFL camps, I think he still got a young but talented group that I think will rise up, guys that like a Jalen Hyatt and others that will have larger roles, a bunch of the freshmen, Brew McCoy coming in. I think you'll have plenty of candidates that will get those numbers. And then you have the example of Cedric Tillman coming out of nowhere to become established. And I think there's the expectation of that this year for somebody else. And, they're solid in all the other areas on offense, and then the tempo allows you to put up numbers. So I think they'll be fine. The key is, in whether it's just 1 or 2 or 2, 3 or 4 wins better, is the defense.
Yes.
And if they can be better and not look like they did in the Music City Bowl, then I think this team has a chance to be the number 2 team in the East. If they're horrible and they're putting up big offensive numbers, I think they'll still be improved, but then there'll be a little bit of a cap in there. They're in that 2nd or 3rd in the East range, I think in the 8 or 9 win range. People talk about the schedule, but it depends, on splitting typically you split your 50-50 games. And, if you do that, you're at about 8 wins. So I kind of think that's where they're at right now. And I think they've had a really good offseason also. So I think there's a lot of positivity around the program right now. It's important for them to do so well under Josh Heupel in year 1, and it's also paying off in recruiting for them.
Well, and Vince, here's my situation though. I picked them 4th only because I'm not sold on the defense, and sometimes year 2 can be more difficult than year 1 because now they've seen the offense. I do think Hendon Hooker is a tremendous player. I agree with you there. Defensively, in your mind, what's the biggest questions for Tennessee coming into this season, and how do they get better? Because I know they disrupted some last year. They forced turnovers, and that's kind of the key with the way they play, but they've still got to be more consistent. They've got to tackle better, and you're right. You bring up the Music City Bowl against Purdue. They just did not show up.
Yeah, and part of that was injuries. They didn't have Alontae Taylor. They were missing other corners. So they were pretty banged up in that game, and boy, it paid off for Alontae Taylor to sit out the bowl game because he was injured, and then it paid off for him because he was able to get healthy, run a great time at the combine, and end up getting drafted in the 2nd round by the New Orleans Saints. So that we really didn't blame him for that. So a little bit of that was circumstance. I think for Tennessee, a couple of things. One, you mentioned they were disruptive. They were one of the better tackle for loss teams in the country for a good part of the year. They were able to get some turnovers, but that's an area they need to be better at. They've got to, in addition to the tackles for loss, they've got to be better at getting after the quarterback without having to run a ton of exotic blitzes, which Tim Banks was able to do. Guys that were able to get to the quarterback were from the secondary or linebackers, and it exposes you a little bit more on the back end. If they can get Byron Young, Tyler Barron, Roman Harrison, or one of those freshman 4-stars that are coming in to get to the quarterback and be able to sit in coverage a little bit more, I think it'll help you when you're still trying to figure things out at corner and at star. They're veteran at safety, but their corners are all to be determined. And the thing is that while they should have been trying to get those positions situated, they missed all of their top corners that had experience returning in the spring. So you really didn't get a whole lot of answers from there. But they also brought in a couple of transfers, and you get all those guys back and see how it shakes out. Another area they need to be better at is 3rd down defense. They gave up a ton of 3rd and longs to mobile quarterbacks, Matt Corral, Kenny Pickett. I mean, the list goes on and on. that killed them on 3rd and long and moving the chain. So that's another area they can be better at. That they need those elements to be better. But look, they don't have to be Georgia's defense. They're not going to be great on defense. They just have to be not awful with that offense. And look, people didn't figure them out at UCF or honestly anywhere. There hasn't been that drop off because of the familiarity. I don't see that figuring out at Tennessee, honestly, under Josh Heupel. He's too good, and they have some skill there in the top level quarterback. It is a matter of just how much the defense improves.
That's where I want to go next. This defense last year, it was a learning experience all around because the offense moves at lightning speed. The defensive guys had to get used to more snaps on the field because they were out there way more than they were the year before and the year before.
Right.
Are they figuring it out a little bit better?
I think, Scott, there are some things that the offense can do. Like Tennessee was not very good on 3rd and 4th and short. If you're able to convert some of those and move the chains, then you have a little bit more control of the tempo. When you can't pick up 3rd and short, some of those come on, say, the 3rd play of a drive. If you're a 3rd and 1 and you can't pick that up, guess what you're doing? You're putting your defense back out on the field. So by holding on to the ball, even though you're going at a high tempo, if you can convert, now you can at least buy your defense a little bit more time. So that's one area. And I also think there are times where they can dial it back a touch. They want to go faster, but it just depends on the situation. So I think the offense can help them. Certainly that you have a lot of people back on defense, not everybody, but you have that familiarity of the tempo. They won't face a faster defense than what they see in practice. So it should at least pay off for them in getting used to it and being there a second year. But there'll be some newcomers that won't be used to it that will be in it as well.
Well, and since the SEC Media Days, right after we get some clarity with the NCAA investigation to Jeremy Pruitt's program, 18 Level 1 violations, a lot of headlines, a lot of accusations, or at least things made public about Jeremy Pruitt and his wife and the program and the coaches that are no longer there. What's been the prevailing opinion in Knoxville about is there going to be further sanctions for Tennessee? Or with the praise they got from the NCAA, the gist I've always gotten is they were trying to avoid a postseason ban, trying to move on and give Josh Heupel's program a chance to grow. What do you think happens going forward?
I think the opinion, Drew, is kind of what you alluded there to, that they, because of their cooperation, because of the quick action to fire Pruitt for cause and everyone that was related around it and really pin everything towards him, that they would avoid further sanctions. Remember, they have self-imposed a few things already.
Yes.
They held back 12 scholarships in the spring, as our Jimmy Himes had reported. I'm sure they've done a couple of other things as well. So is that enough? We'll see. But I do think the quick action and the omission of lack of institutional control in the notice of allegations from the NCAA, I think that's a positive. Now, there's still the failure to monitor, and when that's there, then everyone above still had some failure in overseeing everything, and obviously you can point that towards Philip Fulmer because he was in place there. But that's a university type of responsibility as well. So they deserve some punishment for that. But I think because they were so meticulous and the process was so slow, they were able to really turn that arrow back towards Pruitt and show that it wasn't a whole bunch of people that were in cahoots with it the way it was laid out. I mean, Pruitt involved his wife, according to what the NCAA put in there in their investigation. So when you're doing that, it certainly points to you're not getting everyone on board with it. You're kind of doing your thing. So I'm sure he'll still get some money in a buyout, which is still that whole lawsuit is still lingering. But I would be surprised, honestly, if Tennessee got much of anything. I certainly would not expect anything significant in terms of bowl ban or, big scholarship numbers, things like that. Especially because the NCAA just doesn't have the teeth that it used to. Tennessee was also trying to delay to get to a little bit different and softer NCAA guidelines and standards in terms of their punishment and the whole process. They got closer to that. So I think that Tennessee will avoid that. But I think the fans and all of us, we don't take really an absolute in that. And because it's the NCAA, you just never know. Missouri was really cooperative in their last deal, but they still got hit pretty hard afterwards with additional stuff by the NCAA. And there's other times where people shoot the middle finger to the NCAA, and then they get off without much of anything. So who knows with that inconsistent outfit, but I still would be surprised if Tennessee doesn't end up being successful in avoiding further punishment. And they've done a decent job considering all this hanging over them to this point in recruiting in the first year, which was huge. And so then get past this altogether without additional stuff, then they can really pick up some steam moving forward.
Good stuff, Vince.
Well, and were you surprised, though, that Philip Fulmer wasn't named in the investigation?
Well, there was the failure to monitor. I didn't understand Tennessee taking as strong of a stance in his favor at that first press conference. I mean, they were announcing his retirement and paying him a bunch of money, and the way that looked is they were giving him money to, go away and be quiet. So, was that the case? They didn't include anything in there, but look, it was not only Tennessee's investigation; it was the NCAA. So, there's responsibility there because he was the AD, and there was the failure to monitor. But because there's not lack of institutional control listed, there isn't anything specifically pointed towards him. That would have been a lot messier had you had that and had there been stuff in there included on Fulmer. So I was surprised that Tennessee didn't took the stance they did in celebrating him at that time. That wasn't maybe, I think, the time to do that, but because you didn't know how the NCAA investigation was going to work out. But now they're probably feel fine about it because there isn't anything that you could pin back to him specifically other than, hey, you hired the guy, and he had all this. So there is kind of some responsibility, if nothing else, just in that area.
Well, good stuff from Vince Ferrara. A lot of positivity, and it's a total 180 in the last 365 days for Tennessee football heading into year 2 under Josh Heupel. I know you guys are going to have blowout coverage when practice starts next week. Vince, let everybody know how to follow you and your coverage at Sports Radio WNML.
Yeah, appreciate it. You can follow me on Twitter at Vince Sports. If you go to our website, it's 991thesportsanimal.com. Guys, we topped 150 podcasts of press conferences, one-on-one interviews, all that stuff, and then over 100 videos of different room press conferences, group breakouts of players and coaches, and then also videos of one-on-one. So all of that on the central page on our website, 991thesportsanimal.com. And like you said, day-to-day coverage every single day in camp. We always get a ton of traffic, and it'll always be there so you can learn about Tennessee and their progress during camp. We'll have all that coverage going.
Thank you, Vince. We appreciate it.
I appreciate you guys. Have a great rest of the week.
We got to get a break in. When we come back, the conversation continues. More Talking Ball, 97.7 ESPN Zone.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Looks like they may have an injury in that accident with the overturned tractor-trailer that's blocking the ramp that goes south on the causeway into Decatur coming off Highway 20. They're forcing all the traffic to the right. That's the ramp that takes you to Highway 20 northbound. If you're trying to get into Decatur, I'd take I-65 south to Priceville and go over that way. It's going to take a while to clear this one. University and Perimeter Parkway's got big westbound blockage, maybe an injury involved there. Someone dies from heart disease every 36 seconds. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialists can help keep your heart healthy. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
Your home of the Alabama Crimson Tide is 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
There's the knee, and Alabama has again done the job. You know, folks, the more things change, the more they remain the same. Alabama is still Alabama.
Your home of the Alabama Crimson Tide is 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Message. What up? It's Heather's cousin. You dated her in college, or maybe you were just in the same class. Anyway, I heard you bought a boat, my man. Let's hit the water. Oh, and Heather told me you always liked snacks and stuff, so I could totally bring some chips.
When you get a boat, you also get new friends. Make sure Progressive's one of them, and get coverage today for as little as $100 a year.
Hey, also, I'm a little short on cash, so can you cover the chips? Thanks. I can see why Heather liked you.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Annual premium for basic liability policy not available in all states.
It's been said that there are three things in life that are certain: death, taxes, and car commercials. But actually, there's a fourth certainty: the Woody Anderson Ford Rate Lock, that allows you to lock in a finance rate when you factory order a 2023 F-150, Explorer, or Bronco Sport. No more rolling the dice on a future finance rate. Lock it in as low as 2.9% APR for up to 60 months at Woody Anderson Ford today. And while we're featuring 23 F-150, Explorer, and Bronco Sport, this rate lock offer also includes 2023 models of Ranger, Edge, Maverick Gas, and Transit Connect. With approved credit, offer ends 9/5. It's the Summer Supercharged Sales Event at Woody Anderson Ford. And with your trade being worth as much as 30% more than last year, it's a great time to make your move. Oh, and check our Ford Gold certified vehicles too. Low mileage, great warranty, and a full tank of gas and fresh oil change. Swing by today. The Summer Supercharged Sales Event, Woody Anderson Ford.
Are you in the market for a recreational vehicle? Do you want to get out and see more of this beautiful country? Well, imagine hearing the laughter of your little ones enjoying gooey s'mores by a cozy campfire and making lasting memories with your friends and family from the comfort of a new camper. We can make your dreams come true at Hall's RV. With over 15 years in the camping business, we know how to get our customers into the perfect camper. We have several models and floor plans here for you to choose from, both new and used. We're family owned and operated with fantastic deals and great service. Everyone wants to work with people they can trust, so come on down to Hall's RV and get the deal of a lifetime. We'll treat you right and get you on the road in the camper of your dreams. Visit us on Highway 431 in Albertville. Hall's RVs, where we sell fun. Or see us on the web at www.hallsrvsales.com.
What's better than Valley Equipment Rental? Two Valley Equipment Rentals, and that's just what we have now. The original on the South Memorial Parkway between Drake and Airport Road, and their second location on North Memorial Parkway just north of Winchester Road. Valley Equipment is locally owned and has more skid steers, excavators, and lifts than anyone in the area, plus all the small tools that you need to get the job done like a pro. And if you are a pro, you need to check out the new North location now, because Valley Equipment has what you need. Learn more at valleyequipmentrents.com.
This is Eli Gold, voice of the Alabama Crimson Tide. Now more of Talkin' Ball with Scott Theisen and Drew DeArmond on your home for Crimson Tide Sports 97.7 ESPN The Zone. Roll Tide.
All right, well, there we go. Welcome back. Talking Ball 8:29 on a Wednesday morning. The conversation going to continue. And you were just marveling about 10 minutes ago. We had ESPN. We have ESPN on here in the studio. And you saw Tom Brady come up, and you were like, man, 45.
Yeah, 23rd
23
season.
seasons.
This will be his 23rd in the NFL. Really only missed the majority of one season due to a knee injury. His durability has been remarkable, what he's been able to do with the New England Patriots, and now going into year 3 with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers making some headlines yesterday. Certainly Rob Gronkowski has retired, and I think this time it's going to be permanent. I don't think the 33-year-olds are going to come back. We'll see. Certainly the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are having to move on and still want to make another Super Bowl run and win their second in 3 seasons under Tom Brady. They came up short last year, and they acquire Julio Jones on a 1-year deal. I still think Julio's got gas left in the tank. He's got to stay healthy. He's had hamstring issues for a couple years. He's 33 years old, but he will be playing with the greatest quarterback ever in Tom Brady, who is still playing at an extremely high level. Going to be a very interesting fit, especially with Chris Godwin coming off of the knee injury, the ACL. They also just signed last week Kyle Rudolph to kind of replace Gronkowski, the longtime Minnesota Viking. But we're going to talk about that, and we're going to talk about some Florida Gators. And Florida got a lot of media coverage from the standpoint. We had a lot of hits on our coverage of the Gators from the College Football Hall of Fame, and it was great to connect with our next guest in person, get some FaceTime with him, and he's been a frequent guest on our show. And, of course, he works in the St. Augustine, Florida area for News Talk 102.1, 1240 AM WFOI, and that is John Frary, and he's with us on the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline, host of Sports Now from 5 to 7 Eastern Time each Monday, and John's with us today, right now this morning. John, good morning. You're with Drew and Scott. How are you?
Good morning, Drew and Scott, and it was great to connect last week in Atlanta with you, Drew, as well. You know, about 6-7 years ago, Tom Brady made a statement that he wanted to play into his mid-40s.
Yes.
I had the audacity to laugh at that guy. Here we are. He'll be 45 years old in early August. I think August 3rd. It's coming up next week, his birthday. And it's incredible what he's doing. And I agree, Drew, I think they could win their second Super Bowl in 3 years. And you brought up Julio Jones, I heard, and he's 33 years old, as you stated. I think he's going to get rejuvenated because I'm in St. Augustine, and Ponce de Leon tried to find the fountain of youth there. Tom Brady knows where the fountain of youth is, and so if you want to get young again, follow Tom Brady, wherever he is. And I think Julio Jones, who won't be the number 1 or number 2 target on this team, is going to be in a great position to excel this year with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I have no doubt he's going to have a great year with them.
Yeah. Well, I mean, and John, this is a cost-effective move for the Buccaneers.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a 1-year deal. Tampa Bay has nothing to lose, absolutely nothing, by bringing Julio in. I realize he struggled in Tennessee last year by his standards with the Falcons prior to that, but Tennessee runs an entirely different offense, and it's Tom Brady in Tampa Bay, so I think he is going to excel. I think the other weapons that Tampa has will take coverage off of Julio Jones, and I think that's going to help him. And I looked at his career average. You know, it's amazing. 91.9 yards receiving is his career average. That's astounding. I know he's gotten older. I know he's dropped off some, but I think he's going to be just fine in that Tampa offense this season, guys.
Well, I think that that average of nearly 92 yards per game is the highest in NFL history. I think he's already a Hall of Famer, but he could cement it. He gave Atlanta a Super Bowl championship if the moron offensive coordinator had not gone brain dead and decided to let Matt Bryant kick a field goal. Then I think they beat Tom Brady and the Patriots, but they did not. Julio made a great catch and really was not targeted enough in that game. When he made plays. So I'm interested to see how he does. I'm hoping maybe he can get a ring to cap off his Hall of Fame career with Tom Brady and the Bucs. I mean, I hate that Bruce Arians has kind of moved away from being head coach, but I still think the Bucks have a chance to have a special season. No question about that, John. I agree with you, and I hope Julio. The 1 year experiment with number 2 is gone. I hope he goes back to number 11 with the Bucks. Better karma there. But I know you're in of course, the state of Florida with the Bucks, and of course the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Jaguars really in a perpetual rebuild, but I know Tampa's retooled a little bit, but when you look at that offense and the weapons they're bringing back, and then defensively some of the players they've got, and Todd Bowles, of course, a guy that's built great defenses wherever he's been. He's now the head coach, but I would think Tampa is going to be on the short list of organizations that are going to be Super Bowl favorites.
There's no doubt, Drew. And if you remember at the end of last year, Tom Brady was without some of those weapons. Chris Godwin, for instance, is going to be back at wide receiver. Mike Evans, of course, is there. And then, like we talked about, you bring in Julio Jones, and nothing like a motivated Tom Brady as well, guys, as if you that. But I'm sure after the loss to the Rams in the divisional playoff game last year, he's going to come back more motivated than ever, because every year there's, as great as he is, there's still doubters out there, believe it or not. There's not many, but there's still some that'll say this is the year he'll finally drop off because of his age. So, again, I just think it's going to be more motivation, and I think they're one of the top 3 or 4 contenders in the NFC to get to the Super Bowl this season.
While the Bucs are in the news right now, last week the Florida Gators were in the news. SEC Media Days. Billy Napier making his first impressions on all of the media at SEC Media Days. Your thoughts on how the Gators, Anthony Richardson and company, and Billy Napier handled Atlanta?
I thought Billy Napier did well last Wednesday, a week ago today. Totally different. What a contrast from Dan Mullen. There wasn't all the bravado.
No Darth Vader mask.
Fancy speakers. It was just down-to-earth, real stuff. And I think sometimes that's refreshing in the day and age we live in, guys. And he didn't go after Kirby Smart or anyone else. Dan Mullen would sometimes have quips to go back and forth with folks, even if it wasn't merited. And so I thought Billy Napier presented his plan, outlined it very well. Florida's got to mow a lot of grass, instead their own grass, which means they've got a lot of work to do. I mean, they are behind in recruiting. We know that. That's the reason Billy Napier was in Atlanta last week and has the job. But he is making inroads. A couple of weeks ago, he got a 4-star quarterback out of Nice High School in my neck of the woods, Marcus Stokes, who decommitted from Penn State and is going to come to Florida in next year's class. And, of course, he brought 3 guys to Atlanta, Anthony Richardson being the big one. Not that the other 2 aren't important, but the starting quarterback for Florida this year. And I thought he presented himself well with the media, too, guys. I thought that he took full responsibility for the Georgia game last year, even though I don't think Anthony was responsible for that loss. Georgia was just better. Obviously, they're the defending national champions. But I'll be interested to see if Anthony Richardson can play a full season this year. That's my biggest concern, because he got injured multiple times a year ago. I think the offensive line is going to be vital for Florida this year for success. Garage was there, the offensive tackle. I thought he presented himself well, too, at the media last Wednesday. But the offensive line is going to be key for Florida to keep Anthony Richardson healthy and establish a running game, because Florida's weapons are not as high profile at the wide receiver position as they normally are. I think Ricky Pearsall, who's a transfer from Arizona State, is going to play a big role in that, guys, this upcoming season. But I think Billy Napier comes in at the perfect time, and this is why I say that. I don't remember, Drew and Scott, where expectations were this low for Florida going into a season since the 1980s. I know I'm going back quite a bit, but they were projected to finish 4th in the Eastern Division by the media, which might be a blessing, because the media, more times than wrong on a lot of this stuff, but still, that's the lowest I've seen them projected since I've been going to media days myself, they also only had one player on offense, and it's Torrance. Speaking of the offensive line, the transfer that came over from Louisiana with Billy Napier to make any of the preseason teams. He made first team, which kind of surprised me since he's never played in the SEC. Not to say he won't be a first-teamer, but that surprised me that he made that just because he hadn't played in the Power 5 conference. And then they had 4 defensive guys, Ventrell Miller being one of them, that made second or third SEC, and Ventrell came to media days too. So you put all that together, I think if Billy Napier goes 7-5 or 8-4, unlike a normal year with Florida fans, as long as he can build up that recruiting foundation, guys, I think he'll be fine for this year. I really think the key is to get through this season and start bringing in more blue-chip recruits. Obviously, some 5-stars and a lot of 4-stars to be able to compete annually with Georgia and get back to a point where folks are talking about you maybe winning the Eastern Division instead of finishing in 4th. And I think the foundation Billy Napier's laying down right now is more important than the actual results for his initial year on the field.
Well, we're talking to John Ferry, talking Gators here, WFOY radio in St. Augustine. John, I actually stuck my neck out a little bit. I picked Florida 3rd ahead of Tennessee. I'm not buying the Vols' hype because of their defensive deficiencies, in my opinion. How does this happen for Florida? How do they finish in that top 3? I had them behind Kentucky, behind, of course, Georgia the runaway favorite. But in year 1, that would involve probably winning 8 or 9 games for Billy Napier. How does all that come together? What's the biggest keys, both offensively and defensively?
Drew, I think we might have read each other's minds because I also had them 3rd in the Eastern Division ahead of Tennessee. I think the biggest key is going to be the offensive line, which I just mentioned a few moments ago, and Anthony Richardson taking it to the next level, which I think he can, and being able to play all of the games this season. And I'm not buying a lot of the Tennessee hype yet because Florida's Tennessee 16 out of the last 17 years. Now, each year is a different entity, but Tennessee's going to have to show me more than just 1 year. And I was impressed with what Josh Heupel did, but I still think Florida has enough to finish ahead of Tennessee in the Eastern Division. I think my biggest concern is going to be Florida's defensive line because that, to me, is a question mark. Irvin Dexter was one of those guys that made 3rd team preseason. He's going to have a big year on the line and step up. There's no doubt about it. Ventrell Miller, who I mentioned, came to media days. He's got to stay healthy. Right after media days last year, in the first game, he got hurt and was pretty much done for the year. They've got to have him on the field and stand out, and they're going to have to somehow find a way to be able to generate a pass rush, slow down opposing offenses enough. But I still think Florida's got enough in the foundation, and I think Anthony Richardson's going to take that next step. The offensive line, I think, is better than it's been, at least on paper, the last 3 years when Dan Mullen was there, with guys like Osiris Torrance. Ethan White comes back. Richard Garage, who was at media days, is going to be there. I think Michael Tarquin's going to take a step up at offensive tackle. So I think Florida's going to be fine on the line, and I think they're going to have enough. And I think they're going to surprise a few folks, including Utah, the first game of the year. I know they're a top 10 team they're going to be playing. They're the defending Pac-12 champions, but they're coming across country. It's going to be about 98 degrees with a lot of humidity that day, guys, on September 3rd, 38 days from today. So I think Florida's going to wind up 8-4 myself this year and land in 3rd place in that division behind Georgia and Kentucky.
Yeah, I mean,
Wow.
It's a tough start of the schedule. The 3 of those first 4 are tough. You mentioned Utah in the Swamp on September the 3rd, no doubt. Then you face the Kentucky Wildcats at home in the Swamp, the second game, and then you go to Tennessee in week 4. So not an easy start to the Billy Napier era.
Not at all. I mean, if you look at the prognostications, they're going to be 1-3. They don't play these games on paper, fortunately for Florida and Billy Napier. But as you stated, Drew, Utah, they're the underdog. Kentucky and Tennessee, they're obviously right now underdogs to both because they were picked to finish below both of them in the Eastern Division. But as we talked about, I think they're going to beat Tennessee. I think they're going to upset Utah. I'm not so sure about Kentucky, even though that game's in the Swamp. And then South Florida is the only one of the first four that you could say, okay, that's one they should win. If they can get out of those first four, 2-2 minimum, guys, I think they'll be fine. They can't go 1-3. Mm-hmm. And then I think from there they've got Eastern Washington, and they'll be more acclimated with the new scheme, the offense, and be able to move forward from there. But I can see them getting out of that first four, believe it or not, 3-1. I'm thinking 2-2 is more realistic, but I think they could get out 3-1. Again, I think they're going to surprise folks, and I think coming in with the lower expectations is, again, a good thing for Billy Napier and this team going into the 22 season.
No doubt. Well, John Frary, good stuff, my friend. Always enjoy catching up, talking Gators with you on Twitter at JF_SportsNow. Let everybody know about your show and, of course, connecting with your coverage of the Gators, getting ready for fall camp next week.
Absolutely. Thanks. Well, the show will be Monday, 5 to 7 on 102.1 WFY and 1240 in St. Augustine, 1021news.com on Twitter and or on the internet, I should say, excuse me, online. And, guys, I'll just leave it with this. Don't forget about the Jacksonville Jaguars. I know we didn't talk about them, but a lot of enthusiasm with one Doug Peterson. It's a refreshing change.
An NFL coach.
Circus of Urban Meyer.
Yes.
So I'll leave it with that. So I think they're going to surprise a few, too. Not playoffs or anything like that, but I think they're going to be better than a lot of national folks think this season.
Well, we look forward to talking some Jags down the road. Thanks, John, and have a great rest of your week.
Thanks for having me, guys. You too.
Let's get that final break in. When we come back here, tomorrow's headlines today, and Bruce Pearl has a message for his players.
You're listening to Talkin' Ball on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Looks like they may have an injury in that accident with the overturned tractor trailer that's blocking the ramp that goes south on the causeway into Decatur coming off Highway 20. They're forcing all the traffic to the right. That's the ramp that takes you to Highway 20 northbound. If you're trying to get into Decatur, I'd take I-65 south to Priceville and go over that way. It's going to take a while to clear this one. University and Perimeter Parkway's got big westbound blockage, maybe an injury involved there. Someone dies from heart disease every 36 seconds. Dr. Randall Burns and the team at Huntsville Heart Specialists can help keep your heart healthy. Captain Nick in the Jordan Lane Popeye Skywatch Traffic Center.
McCurry Motors is your car and van rental headquarters. You can rent the vehicle you need today. Family in town, sporting event, church function, no matter what your need, McCurry Motors has you covered with a wide selection of cars and vans available for rent. They have 12-passenger Mercedes Sprinter vans, 12-passenger Ford Transit vans, 15-passenger Ford Transit vans, and 15-passenger Chevrolet Express vans. They have 2 locations, Highway 72 in Athens or Max Luther Drive in Huntsville.
If you're ready to lower your utility bills, it's time to call Eagle Insulation. Eagle can handle it all. Attic re-insulation, insulation removal, wall insulation, and new construction insulation, commercial and residential. Our primary goal is to save you money, and lots of it. Typical clients realize their return on investment within 3 to 6 months. That means the re-insulation actually pays for itself and then some. See if we can help you. Contact Eagle Insulation today, 256-755-1556, or log on insulatewitheagle.com.
Normally, when you call a roofing company, all you hear is, you need a new roof. Not when you call Fleming Roofing and Restoration. Since 1965, the folks at Fleming have been focused on what you need, whether it's an easy repair or a full roof replacement, commercial or residential. And when it comes to storm damage, you want Fleming on your side. They know all the ins and outs of insurance claims and will guide you through the entire process. Log on FlemingHSV.com and book your free estimate today. Fleming Roofing and Restoration. We show up.
This time of year, it's hot. But with Brooks & Collier, you can be outside and comfortable. That's why Brooks & Collier has deep discounts on a large selection of patio umbrellas, furniture, and grills. With these patio umbrellas, you're sure to have a nice, shaded spot to relax. Lucy knows the best spot is a shaded spot. So if you're looking to spruce up your backyard and make it more comfortable, visit North Alabama's indoor and outdoor living headquarters for over 75 years. 813 Meridian Street and at brooksandcollier.com.
This will turn journalism on its ear.
Watch our stream on WZZN TV on Twitch and YouTube.
But you are the greatest hero in American history.
We are 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
Hi, I'm Arthur Seaton, managing partner at University Kia in Huntsville, Alabama. We are the proud transportation sponsors of Talking Ball at 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
It's time for tomorrow's headlines today with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
I got a trio of headlines for everyone on a Wednesday morning. First, NFL news. The Tennessee Titans are moments away from kicking off their training camp, their first training camp. NFL camps opening up all across the country, and the Tennessee Titans are moments away from kicking theirs off in Nashville. The Atlanta Braves last night get a win over the Philadelphia Phillies. The Mets take care of the Yankees, so the Braves don't gain any ground on the Mets, but they don't lose any ground as well. So that is the good news there. And then Bruce Pearl and the Auburn Tigers are getting ready to take a trip to Israel. And they're going to go to the Dead Sea. Yesterday, Bruce Pearl previewing the trip and had a message, a special message for his team.
We'll also be doing the Dead Sea. The guys will get a chance to go to the lowest place on earth and float, and hopefully they'll be smart enough not to splash or fart, because either one of them can be painful. All right. You don't think farting's an option? I'm just try it at the Dead Sea. It's not a good experience. I didn't believe him, so I thought I'd go ahead and try it. Nah. We'll also be doing the Dead.
Farting in the Dead Sea. Only Bruce Pearl.
Is that a thing?
Mike Concho over there could make a comment on that, considering what happened to him at Tennessee.
Are you not supposed to do that in the Dead Sea?
I
just know there's a lot of salt.
Yeah.
And if you fart in there, the salt is going to go into an orifice that is not going to be pleasant.
I don't even want to go there. I'll just say this as far as headlines. It's a big game for the Braves today. Going to be the getaway noon first pitch in Philly. Charlie Morton taking the bump, trying to win that series because could have already had it won. A rare A.J. Minter hiccup cost them the game on Monday. So we'll see. They bounced back last night. Will Smith not pitching well, but they were able to bring Kenley Jansen on to get the save. Spencer Strider threw the ball well for 6 innings. A big 2-run bomb from Matt Olson. Austin Riley stays hot. A couple more extra base hits for him. A couple of doubles. So they're going to try to win another series. Hopefully get some help from the hated Yankees in Queens, New York. In that Subway series, that brief one that you talked about on Zone Center, Scott. The Mets taking game 1. We'll see if the Yankees can bounce back. Yeah. And could be some big news in recruiting for the University of Alabama. They got some big news yesterday. Jalen Mbakwe, the number 1 prospect, but it's 2024, though. This is a while away. But that young man from Clay Chalkville, the defending 6A state champions from under head coach Drew Gilmer. He chooses Alabama yesterday early, but the number 1 safety in the country for 2023 from Mill Creek High School in Hoxton, Georgia, he's going to be making his decision at noon today Central Time. It's really Alabama and Ohio State. Georgia probably a distant third, but Alabama and Ohio State battling it out for Caleb Downs. Most believing Alabama has the edge. We'll see if that holds until noon. He's going to be making his commitment. I know Travarius Robinson has put in a lot of work, the new cornerbacks coach for the University of Alabama. He believes that Caleb may be the best overall player in the 2023 class. This is a guy with Minkah Fitzpatrick type ability in a lot of people's minds. So this could be a huge piece for Alabama as they continue to build recruiting momentum. Also, Auburn could get some good news today as well. So we will follow those storylines for the rest of today. And if Auburn gets this great news, later this afternoon, really it's going to be early evening around 4:30 Central Time with DeArmond from the state of Florida, the edge rusher, making his decision, and then with Caleb Downs, we could be talking a lot of recruiting on the show tomorrow.
All right, so I looked this up as far as the Dead Sea goes.
Right.
Okay, you don't want to get water in your eyes. The water is 10 to 15 times more saltier than the ocean water. Okay, you don't want to get it into your mouth. It doesn't hurt, but it's pretty gross tasting. You are not to shave at least 24 hours before going into the Dead Sea. And finally, no peeing or farting in the Dead Sea. Orifices tend to begin burning if they are left long enough in the water of the Dead Sea, and this speeds up the process.
Tell that to the governor of California. He probably didn't know that. I'd be willing to bet.
What? How do we tie in the governor to the Dead Sea?
Because the state of California is pretty much the Dead Sea. That's how we can tie that in. A bunch of idiots.
You don't take jewelry into the Dead Sea. The high salt and mineral concentration is good for the skins, but not so great for metals.
Right.
And so avoid splashing. You might get water in your eyes.
Yeah.
It's not pleasant. So there you go. That is why Bruce Pearl says don't fart in the Dead Sea.
Don't fart in the Dead Sea.
That's the one message we're taking away from today. The proper way to float in the Dead Sea is you walk into the water until it's around your knee high, and you sit like you're sitting down as you would sit in a chair and float. So they actually have ways to float into the Dead Sea. Anyway.
Well, I'll just say, instead of talking about the Dead Sea, I'll say once again, just be on the look. There's going to be some recruiting news, potentially good news for both Alabama and Auburn today. Auburn, according to our good friend Keith Niebuhr, who's back from his vacation at the British Open across the pond. Wilkie Denard from the state of Florida, he is going to make a decision, I think at 4:30 Central Time this afternoon, 5:30 Eastern. So Auburn considered the favorite there potentially to add the edge rusher from the Sunshine State. And then, as we said, noon for Alabama, Caleb Downs from Mill Creek High School in Hoxton, Georgia. One of their top targets at safety. We believe Alabama and Ohio State are the leaders. Alabama considered the favorite, but again, recruiting is fluid, but we think Alabama's put themselves in strong position to add this young man, which would be a big piece of the puzzle for them. So potentially, Scott, some big news for Alabama and Auburn on the recruiting trail on this Wednesday. So we'll continue to keep you posted there, and that could be some huge news and topic for tomorrow's show.
All right, 256. Well, we're done.
Yeah.
I don't know
Thank
why
you to
I was
John
gonna
Frary.
have people to call in.
Thank you to Vince. Thank you to the callers.
Yeah, then we were done. Thank you to Governor Gavin Newsom as
Idiot.
well, because he provided the punching bag for
He
you
did.
today. And
He needs to go to the Dead Sea and fart.
just going to leave it there.
There you go.
We'll see
Perfect.
you guys tomorrow morning.
This is Wes Neighbors talking to Chris Haygood of Bob Wallace Appliance. Chris, what sets you apart from other appliance dealerships?
Wes, these appliances are going into the most used room in your house, your kitchen. The way we have these appliances displayed, it's easy for you to visualize how they'll look in your home. Wes, what sets us apart is the people. They're well trained. In fact, they live and breathe these appliances. And if you need service, you'll really appreciate our parts department.
Contact Bob Wallace Appliance at 256-533-2121.
You've got to experience Toyotathon at Bill Penny Toyota. They've got the selection with over 700 new Toyotas to choose from. And they've got the extras with Bill Penny perks and a 10-year unlimited warranty. So get on over to Bill Penny Toyota today and experience Toyotathon. Bill Penny Toyota in Huntsville and online at BillPennyToyota.com. Bill Penny's Toyota 10-year unlimited warranty is valid through the 10th year of ownership. Valid on new vehicles only. See dealer for details.
800-326-7765. That's 800-326-7765. What do you have to lose? Call 800-326-7765. Again, 800-326...
97.7 ESPN The Zone.
This is Brent Musburger's VSiN Action Update on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
UFC 277 set for Saturday in Dallas. The main event, the highly anticipated rematch between Amanda Nunes and Juliana Pena for the Women's Bantamweight Championship. Nunes a minus 275 favorite, Pena plus 230. For the interim flyweight championship, Brandon Moreno minus 220 against Kai Kara France at plus 175. Patrick Cantlay, the favorite at the Rocket Mortgage Classic underway this week. Cantlay at plus 1,000. 3M Open champion Tony Finau at plus 1,400, along with Will Zalatoris, Cameron Young at plus 1,600. Braves and Phillies game 3 this afternoon. Atlanta minus 172 on the money line. Philadelphia plus 140 at home. The over-under at 8.5. The teams have split the first 2 games of the series. Red hot winning picks at experts.winnersandwhiners.com. Save 75% on any best bet package with the promo code ACTION75. That's ACTION75 at experts.winnersandwhiners.com.
I'm Trey Westerberg, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Log on today, 977ESPN.com. Welcome to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Scott and Drew.
are the better team right now, but does that mean they have the easier road? Absolutely not. And you may feel better about the Mets' opportunities that are there, but I just like the fact